King Ramesses II is the greatest king of all kings of ancient Egypt. He is the one who had accomplished what no other king did military and constructional wise. His famosity made his name mentioned whenever the ancient Egyptian civilization is mentioned. His mummy was received in France with 21 cannon shots, like a living king, and his name was given to the most important squares and streets of Egypt. He is one of few kings who ruled long periods of time, for he ruled 67 years. He had a big number of children, almost 52 sons and 32 daughters. His wife was a very famous queen Nefertari, and his statue in the Ramesseum temple was the biggest sculptured statue in the world. It weighs 1,000 tons. He is the owner of the biggest cut-out temple in the world, the Temple of Abu Simbel. Like his father, King Seti I, and being loyal to him, he had learned a lot of his characteristics and followed his method in dealing with both internal and external cases, and realized his responsibility in establishing peace and stability in the country, and in the same time reassure his control over the edges of the empire. He resumed the constructions of his father, both in Karnak and Abydos temples, and continued mining and investing in the quarries and mines of Egypt. After achieving what he wanted in that field, he headed towards the east, to the kingdom of Khita, which was always provoking the rulers of the provinces that follow Egypt against it. In the 5th year of his reign, he led his famous battle against the Hittites in Kadesh. The battle, which events were recorded on the walls of his temples of Luxor, Karnak, Ramesseum, and Abu Simbel. Amun-Ra is one of the most important Egyptian deities and the most famous one ever. He is the god of Thebes and the head of its triad, and a member of the octonary of El-Ashmonin. He merged with god Ra under the name Amun-Ra. By that, Amun got tied with the sun Crete and acquired the status of the primary god of the country since the 12th dynasty, and kept that position almost throughout the entire Egyptian history. There were many opinions about the nature of the name of Amun and its origin, for the word Iman appeared in the ancient Egyptian language as a verb, meaning to hide or to be hidden. The word Iman came also as an adjective to mean the hidden, the secret one, the imaginative. The word also came in the Old Kingdom to mean the one on the right and the western. God Amun got his name from the adjective of the hidden one or the invisible, which expresses his embodied nature in his role as being one of the members of the Ennead of El-Ashmonin, and that's according to what was mentioned in the pyramids texts. The name Amun came for the first time during the Middle Kingdom on two boards from the 11th dynasty, one of which was found in the tomb of King Intefa in El-Korna village. On that panel, the word Per Iman, or the house or temple of Amun, was written. As for the second panel, a chant was recorded on it dedicated to goddess Hathor and god Amun. There is another panel belonging to King Initibs II found in the cemetery of Dirra Abu Najah and kept in the Museum of the Metropolitan in New York. Another inscription was found written in the area of Wadi al-Hammamat or al-Hammamat Valley from the time of King Montuhotep IV Nebektawi Ra, in which came the name of Vizier Amun-Imhat. In it, its owner was related to God Amun, for it means God Amun is in the front. It's a name that was given to some of the kings of the 12th dynasty later. Amun occupied the position of the main god of Egypt, and that's when King Sohetep Ibra or Amun-Imhat I managed to put the foundation of the 12th dynasty, so he made him the first and the formal deity of the country. God Amun never had a distinguishing appearance before he was merged with God Ra or Min, for he had taken all the characteristics and universal mastership of the sun god and the human form by being connected with God Ra, while getting his fertile form by being connected to God Min. This means that if Amun-Ra denounced the form and the characteristics and the titles of God Min on one side, and the name and characteristics of the sun god Ra on the other side, he'll have nothing to distinguish him. This clarifies the phenomena of the merge of gods that started to appear starting from the Middle Kingdom era, for it had helped to create a new entity that gathers all the factors of power and domination and creation, which is God Amun-Ra in the form of Min or Amun-Ra Ka-Mut-F. On the other side, it's noticeable that the name Amun-Ra combines between two opposites, which are the invisibility of Amun and the appearance of Ra in one entity. It seems that this has a direct relation with the role of God Min, who moves the universe from the state of death, which is connected with darkness and secrecy expressed in Amun, to the state of birth, which is connected with light and elevation with the sun god Ra. The title of Ka-Mut-F means the bull of his mother, and has appeared for the first time on the chapel of King Sesostris I in Karnak. It expresses the role of God Amun-Ra as being a god of fertility. The Triad of Thebes was composed since the 18th dynasty, and it includes Amun-Ra and goddess Mut as a wife and god Khonsu as a son. It's noticeable that the members of this triad were chosen carefully, for the wife Mut's choice was meant precisely for Mut here isn't just a wife of Amun, but in fact, as she plays the role of the wife, her name signifies motherhood. Thus, she accomplishes the significance of the bull of his mother by being the female and the mother, while Amun plays the role of the male and the father. Goddess Mut here plays the same role that's usually played by Goddess Isis as a mother and wife of God Min. It's concluded that God Amun-Ra had combined between two great divinities through the cosmic role related to him, which are the divinity of the sun and the royal domination, which he acquired by being merged with God Ra, and the divinity of fertility and the cosmic domination, which he got from God Min, and all that had qualified him to be the Lord of the universe. The express of that concept happened practically through the parading festivals in which god Ammon appeared in 3 important occasions, each of which was connected with a vital role of god Ammon in the universe. These occasions are the Feast of the Valley and the Opet Festival, and the Feast of the Beginning of 10 Days, which is a week in ancient Egypt. On these occasions, god Ammon joins between the 4 points of the universe, the east and the west in the Valley Feast, and the north and the south in the Opet Feast. He also connects the periods of time in the Feast of the Beginning of each 10 days to achieve by that his role in controlling the universe. The repetition of the festivals on time and systematically came to confirm this domination. As a result of the rise of the cult of god Ammon-Ra, and hence his domination of the country in the 18th dynasty, the grandest temple consecrated to him were built in this era. Just like the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, which kings built the greatest pyramids of Egypt, was called the dynasty of the builders, the 19th dynasty could be called the same, for it was King Ramesses II and his father Seti I and his successor Seti II who erected great magnificent temples for the new rising god Ammon-Ra. Amongst the astonishing standing temples built for god Ammon-Ra is the grand temple of Abu Simbel. 280 kilometers south of Aswan stand the 2 temples of Abu Simbel. They were cut out in the rocks of the sacred land of goddess Hathor of Abshik. The great temple was dedicated to god Ammon-Ra and god Ra-Hur-Akhti and god Ptah and King Ramesses II himself in his divine nature. Is composed of a facade which holds the 4 grand statues of Ramesses II and life statues of his family and gods. Then there is a Pillars Hall with scenes of the famous battle of King Ramesses II in Kadesh, in which he achieved victory over the Hittites. The battle was relieved in astonishing details. There are side chambers used for storage and painted as well as the rest of the interior walls and pillars of the temple. Then the great wall leads to a smaller hall with 4 square pillars. On the pillars and the walls, the king is seen in a relationship with gods, especially god Ammon-Ra, as he burns incense to purify the sacred boat carried above the shoulders of the priests. Then there is a little room that leads to the sanctuary. The sanctuary is the Holy of the Holies in any temple in ancient Egypt. It's where the god rests in the deepest and darkest and most isolated part of his house. It's here where the ancient Egyptian engineer expressed and exhibited his geniusity 3,500 years ago, when he cut out the temple above the hill in a special angle that allows the rising sun on the other bank of the Nile to shine and penetrates exactly through the door of the temple at dawn. But that's not just it. The rays shines on the faces of the 4 seated gods inside the sanctuary facing the door, one by one. The rays travel on the faces from east to west, focusing right on the face of Ramesses II, equating himself to the rest of the 3 other gods. The miracle happens twice a year, on the 20th of February and 20th of October. But after the 20th century miracle of dismantling the temples and moving them upwards because of the rise of Lake Nasser's water, the days were shifted to the 22nd of both of February and October. On the 22nd of October of 2018, Egypt celebrates 50 years on the occasion of re-erecting the temples of Abu Simbel in their new places. The ancient Egyptians accomplished their miraculous constructions for one purpose: to immortalize the name of their pharaohs with the name of their mighty god, Amun-Ra. And we can only say that they have succeeded beyond their expectations, for the name Amun was derived across ages to the word Amen that's told by god worshippers daily all over the world. And the name Amun itself is mentioned by all the visitors of their temples and the world who is fascinated by the ancient Egyptians and Egypt, the cradle of civilization. A great scientific ancient Egyptian event that's long anticipated and eagerly waited for by the whole world is the magnificent sun alignment of the great temple of Abu Simbel. The event happens twice each year and starts at dawn when the sun is born on the east bank of the Nile, focusing its rays on the temple's door. The audience all must refrain from breathing as they watch the geometrical miracle happening second by second in front of them. The rays of the sun penetrates exactly through the door and reaches the core of the temple, directly falling perpendicularly on the sanctuary, which is a private room of the god in his house. But who is that god who enjoyed that great care and importance by the ancient Egyptians and their king, the mighty Ramesses II, to dedicate that magnificent cut-out temple for him, coinciding with an unbelievable geometrical and geographical miracle connected with the sun? He is the god of the sun, God Amun-Ra, to whom the sun becomes modest and bows for each day and shines on his face twice a year from millions of light years of distance far away. But actually, who is that god? What's his history, his secrets, and how come he won that unmatched high position above all other gods and became the core of the ancient Egyptian religion? To know that, let's follow his story from the dawn of the ancient Egyptian civilization until the end of that magnificent era of our history.